Hi, good afternoon to all. Thank you, Dr. Batra, for a beautiful introduction and the stories that you shared. And I also believe in stories to be a part of our life. Whatever you do, wherever we go, these form very, very important lessons for us. So today, before I start with real estate, and I've got a great panel with me, I will start with basically three stories that I'll fold up in course of time as we go on. My first story is about one of the biggest film personality. His name is Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, and the story has been shared by his son, Abhishek. The story goes like this, that in 1982, he was injured very badly for doing the movie Hoogly. And it was a clinical death for him almost. And after he recovered from 1983, for the next 40 years, they say that every Sunday he comes out of his bungalow. It was Jalsa, then he changed to Pratiksha and all. And people come at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the evening, and he waves off his hands to all the people who come here. And this has been going on, ladies and gentlemen, for last 40 years, and it's not small, it's very, very big indeed. So his son one day asked this question, that Dad, how do you feel like, this thing that's going on? And it's a big thing, how do you feel, And the father didn't answer, he was quiet, he smiled off. And when the question went on repeating for 3-4 times, one day he called his son on the dining table and he said that, son, you want to know now how I feel that every Sunday these people are coming. It's great. But you know how I feel? I feel that what should I do from next Monday to the next Saturday so that Sunday again these people come back on that same equal energy. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is all about this panel who are there. They work really, really hard in real estate of Calcutta. They have developed millions of square feet of Calcutta. And this is the esteemed panel for us. So my request is, let's have an applause for them. So before I start my session, my first question is to Mr. Pradip Chopra. Sir, the journey of Calcutta real estate, it's growing everywhere. So, sir, I would like to hear from you the growth story of Calcutta and West Bengal.
Am I audible? Yeah. See, Calcutta, I was a 15, 16-year-old when the real estate started, actually, multi-storied building started here. Most of the builders that time were Sindhis who had come from Bombay. So we had seen buildings like Natraj, we saw a building like Embassy, and the prices that time was about 30-35 rupees a square feet. It's unthinkable today. And it was a time when I'd seen that there was a building called Hemchaya, which was completed, and the builder was wanting to sell it for 38 rupees a square feet. There was no buyer. Yeah, most of these Sindhi builders lost their shirt and went back. It was a very difficult time. There was nobody who was interested. People had not understood the concept of flats. How can I share my stairs with somebody? Or how is it possible that my roof will be floor of somebody else? What happens when the building breaks? How do I get the land? It was so many questions, so people were not accepting the fact that I can go to a building where sky is not mine, the ground is not mine. Very difficult time. And then slowly people started understanding the benefit of staying in a flat, because independent houses were becoming out of the reach. And they found that when they stay in a building, children will find friends. I'll find, my wife will find somebody else to spend time in the afternoon. And there are benefits in staying in an apartment building. And slowly people started accepting, and the prices started going up. Within a year, when that building on the Gurusade Road, Hemchaya building was built, within a year the prices doubled. When we started the building in Chakrabeera Road, our first building, we sold the building at 325 rupees a square feet. Today the price is, I think, around 10,000 rupees a square feet. So, though we sold it very fast, and even in that time, because people had started accepting that apartment living is not all that bad, you can live in an apartment. And after that, there was no looking back. Sindhi builders of Calcutta stayed, like Nandu stayed, and Kishore Samtani made one building, Ashirwad, they were partners, but Kishore got out. And most of the Marwadis got into real estate. That was a time when a lot of Marwadi families came in real estate. And after that, I think there was no looking back. And real estate really did well. And the biggest advantage of Calcutta was that the prices didn't, like Bombay, Delhi, or in Bangalore to some extent, the prices was like a, the stock market. There was a boom time, it went out of the roof. And when there was a mandi, then it fell. Calcutta that way was very safe market. In boom time, it didn't go much up. In recession, it didn't come down. That was very good for a developer like us. So it was a steady market, and there was continuous rise, but it was not all that volatile the way other cities had. And we had a good, those days when we started, we had no money. So we had no option but to get into joint ventures with the landlords. And because we both started with, my father was in service, I am first generation entrepreneur, so was Surinder. And we started with a very, very, very humble background. So we did most of about 150 buildings or projects we have done in Calcutta. I think 100 of them are done with joint ventures with the landlord. And the landlords were very happy. The second building which we did for Mr. Sarkar was, we had offered him that, if you don't take money, I can assure you, Mr. Sarkar, that you will get your money with 18% return. That is what, those days 18% rate of interest was there, so we'll give you that. But what happened, there was a boom, and actually he landed up getting 100% more. So he was very happy, and he recommended us to many people. And I think because of Mr. Sarkar, we got about 36 projects in Calcutta in joint venture. Because he was very well connected with the elite of Bengalis in Calcutta. So we had his properties on Elgin Road, we had his properties on Bhawanipur, and many other places. He was very happy joint venture partner with us, and so we got a lot of joint venture deals. And we actually are called that joint venture company. Most of our project has been in joint venture. Still we do in joint ventures. So that was a great, and I personally feel that besides real estate, I had gone to Germany. I started a business company in Germany. I also tried to do many businesses in Germany, in India. And right now I'm looking more on education. And but I feel that out of all the businesses I tried in my career, real estate was the best business. It is still the best business. And all of you, I congratulate you. You're in the right business. I say real estate is a business of kings and is king of business. So my congratulations to all of you being in real estate.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. My next question is to Mr. Basant Parakh. But before the question that I put on to you, sir, I would like to share a few data of luxury housing, how it's growing in Calcutta. Like in entire country, we took a little bit of data where we understood that we divide luxury housing in Calcutta in terms of pricing into three categories, which is like from 10,000 rupees to 14,000 rupees a square feet. That's first category. 14 to 20,000 rupees a square feet. That's second category. And 20,000 rupees a square feet plus as a third category. In the first category, we sold about 2023, approximately about 250 units. Second is 14 to 20,000 rupees a square feet, which is about 100 units. And the third category, which is 20,000 rupees plus, is about 35 units. So these are the numbers we have got, which is a great number, which is a growth over 2021. But definitely there was a dip of 2022 was much higher than this one also. But still, the rising trend is very high, and there's been upcoming about 1,200 stocks which are coming up in luxury housing, and we also have an equal number of unsold stocks. So my question to Mr. Parakh, sir, how do you feel this luxury housing segment in Kolkata growing, and what's the future?
Namaskar to all of you. Now, luxury, I feel, is a perception. What you have defined is luxury in terms of the value of real estate. 10,000 to 14 or 14 to 20, 20 to... I mean, that is a luxury from price perspective. But I feel luxury is upgrading. If I am in Maruti 800, if I excel to Swift or thereafter Honda and so forth, for me that is luxury. This is, I think, what is happening in real estate. Recent real estate, I would say, in last 5 years. Value has gone up, so obviously when the value goes up, specifications goes up, the location is prime, that is luxury. So luxury definition is different for different people, for different class of people, for people who have a different income group. For respective people, the definition of luxury varies. But nonetheless, I feel that luxury is increasing in a sense that if you see prime properties, obviously, the specifications are increasing, the outlook of the entire building is changing, the elevation is changing, the amenities are changing, the design also becomes a luxury at times. The amount of inputs that goes into the designing of the apartments and the designing of the entire building as such is also luxury. Luxury, I don't personally perceive in terms of value only. वैल्यू इन द सेंस कि 20,000 रुपया स्क्वायर फुट है या 25,000 रुपया स्क्वायर फुट है, वो ठीक बात है. 6,000 रुपये में भी लग्जरी होता है. आज आपको तमालदा बताएंगे या कि आप हावड़ा में लोग बोलते हैं क्या हावड़ा में क्या बिल्डिंग बनेगा, बट नाउ यू गो देयर एंड यू सी व्हाट फैबुलस काइंड ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट्स आर कमिंग. यू सी सदर्न बाईपास, यू गो टू जोका. व्हाई यू कन्फाइन योरसेल्फ टू द सेंट्रल एंड साउथ कोलकाता, टू बीटी रोड? The definition are changing. The kind of amenities which is being given, that is luxury for them. They enjoy the luxury. That is the perks that they are getting out of it at the same price, more or less, which is a changing trend, I think, in the minds and deliveries of the builders as such. They are trying to understand कि buyer को क्या चाहिए, उनकी need क्या है. वो अगर 2 bedroom से 3 bedroom में जाता है ना, वो भी उसके लिए luxury है. कूलर से एसी में जाता है ना, तो वो भी उसके लिए लग्जरी है. बट विद द चेंजिंग ट्रेंड, विद द चेंजिंग परसेप्शन, विद चेंजिंग द साइज ऑफ द पर्स, द अमाउंट ऑफ fundings you are getting from the housing finance companies, the flexibility there is also making it affordable for the buyer to excel, to improve their buying capacities. तो उस context में luxury बढ़ रही है. But in your terms, if I say Calcutta has seen unprecedented price rise after COVID, we haven't seen any breaching the price beyond 20,000. ये बैठे हैं, इन्होंने कलकत्ता का आई थिंक सेकेंड हाईएस्ट प्राइस दिया आफ्टर 42. देयर आफ्टर वो एक बार जब झिझक निकल जाती है एक प्राइसिंग की, देन एनी प्राइसिंग बिकम्स अफोर्डेबल टू पर से. पहले हम लोग बोलते थे कि 20,000 रुपये, सर ये बहुत ज़्यादा दाम है. आज आप 25,000 रुपये बोलते हैं, बट सर चलता है, कुछ कम कर दीजिए. सो ये एक परसेप्शन है, एक साइकी है. शेयर बाजार जब 30,000 था तो बोलते थे ये 35,000 पे होगा, आज 65,000 हो गया तो बोलते नहीं ठीक है ना, और बढ़ेगा. तो लग्जरी में भी यही है कि अपनी जब इच्छाएं बढ़ती हैं, जब अपने एक आसपास देखता है कि इससे हमको और अच्छा करना है, और अच्छा करना है, तो कोई अपने पॉकेट से ज़्यादा करता है, कोई बोरोइंग पे भी करता है। आजकल क्रेडिट कार्ड का ज़माना है, तो वो भी चलता है। हमको वैसा चाहिए, देखा देखी भी चाहिए और अपने इंजॉयमेंट के लिए भी चाहिए। तो आई पर्सनली फील सर दैट लग्जरी ओवरऑल इन ऑल डायरेक्शंस ऑफ कैलकाटा वी हैव सीन लग्जरी ग्रोइंग। आज सुबह हमारी एक प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में बात हो रही थी एजेंसी से, तो मैंने कहा कि बीटी रोड के एक साइड में यहाँ पर लग्जरी बोल के हम डिफाइन करेंगे प्रोजेक्ट को। देन ही वाज सेइंग लग्जरी कैन बी अ लोकेशन, लग्जरी कुड बी अ प्रॉक्सिमिटी टू सर्टन key places of interest. Why it luxury has to be only in terms of pricing or a specification of the project? मेरे को गंगा के पास रहना है, वो लग्जरी है। मेरे को कहीं एक बड़े मंदिर के पास रहना है, वो भी मेरे लिए लग्जरी है। तो लग्जरी की डेफिनेशन चेंज हो रही है और लग्जरी बढ़ रही है हर क्षेत्र में। ये मेरे को लगता है कि आने वाले समय के लिए बहुत अच्छा है।
True, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. My next, so I've got two questions for Sidharth ji. I've got two questions for you. My first question is, if we look into the commercial market scenario, pan-India, it's on a different growth trajectory. Like, I'll share one small data. 2023, we had 58 million square feet of office space consumption pan-India-wise, which was 30 million square feet in 2010, which was even about 50 million square feet in 2022. So it's been a 14.5% year-on-year growth, which is phenomenal. So how do you see that commercial as well as retail, sir, for Calcutta market? That's my first question to you.
Firstly, Anurag ji spoke about kindness. Okay. Since most of the people in this room are marketeers and salespeople, you see the kindness here. Your elders sit first. So if you see this panel here, it's from right to left, it's in terms of seniority. Pradip uncle being the senior most, Basant uncle, then Tamal, then me, then Rishi. So firstly there. So this market works on kindness. This market works on empathy. This market works on trust and respect, to start with. Coming to your question, Anirban, and each of you. Friends, I'll just go 1 minute off tangent, Anirban. Friends, life now, like there was BC and there was AD before Christ, and similarly now life is again BC and AC, which is before COVID and post COVID. And the biggest difference that is coming here is we have to all agree and understand that India is growing, and each part of India is growing, and so Bengal is also growing. The growth and demand for things that we are seeing is basically because the economy is growing. And this growth in the economy, at least I have never seen in my 40 years of life. And all the reforms that were being done by the government over the past many years, whether it was GST, taxation, income tax, because of which there's a lot of money into the system and the economy is growing. On your question on commercial real estate or retail now, Anirban, each market is different. Yes, Bengal is a consuming economy. It's more of people staying in their domicile. So yes, the commercial demand here might be slower than other regions, but it's growing. It's growing again because of COVID. There is a lot of people, especially in IT now, wanting to come back and stay in their domicile. So Calcutta person, the amount of flexibility earlier he had to go and stay in Bangalore vis-a-vis his intent to stay back at Calcutta with his family, work on virtual platforms like Zoom and everything is growing. So again, you see there is a new Infosys campus that is opening. There's a new ITC Infotech campus that is opening. So I see the demand is growing. Also post-COVID, there's suddenly been a lot of new asset classes, whether it's co-living, whether it's co-working, whether it's service apartments, whether it's timeshare. So I think a lot of those concepts are coming late to Calcutta, but it's here to stay. And I see that there will be an equal amount of growth in all of those categories as well. It's just a matter of time.
Sure, I also agree with you. And even the data are showing the same for Calcutta. So Rishi, my question is definitely, you are hands-on in hospitality sector in Calcutta. And my first question to you is, how do you see this market looking for Calcutta in future?
So, everybody asks me that how's the hospitality, scene, or how's the scene. So first of all, thank you so much for having me. I almost forgot. My deep gratitude to Anurag ji and the team at Realty Plus for having me. And I agree with Sidharth ji. I feel very nice when I see the whole curve that comes over here. That part I do acknowledge. And quite frankly, it was just about 7 or 8 years back, and I used to sit in the classroom in which Pradip sir used to teach. And now sitting over here in itself is very overwhelming for me. So I would request everybody to give a round of applause to the legend that we have in our panel today. But now coming to your question, there is a lot of discussion about how the hospitality segment is doing in Calcutta, and that we have such high occupancy levels in the city, especially the airport, airport micro market where Holiday Inn operates. We have to see two very important data when we are talking about hospitality and Calcutta. Number one, hospitality contributes to 15% of the state's GDP. The national average is 8%. So obviously it is a priority sector for us, and our Honorable CM has, acknowledged that, and that's why in November of 23, hospitality was given industry status. Now the moment that happens, which was a long-standing demand, that's besides the case nationally, but the moment that happens, a lot of fresh demand, fresh enthusiasm, fresh investment starts pouring in. The second amazing stat is that all the hotels combined in Calcutta at least, not West Bengal, in Calcutta at least, are less than the number of hotels that are there in Aerocity. So that tells you about the potential that Calcutta has. I'm talking about branded rooms. I mean, chain-run, globally branded rooms, that the entire city has less than just Aerocity. So the potential is huge. And as it was pointed out, we are a consuming economy, city, and we have population by our side. So whether it is a branded hotel, whether it is your co-living spaces, whether it is anything that is servicing someone who's immigrating into the city, I see nothing less than a 25-30% growth, or maybe more, provided you have your project management in place. So we about 5-6 years back, we did Holiday Inn. Recently, we have just signed up and closed a deal with Sarovar. And we intend to keep our micro market within the, the Rajarhat, Salt Lake sector, where there is a lot of economic activity. And as long as we are in that market, I mean, this is my view. It could be, in some ways myopic. But as long as we are in that market, I don't think we have anything to worry about. And it is an amazing asset class. I mean, it is an amazing asset class. For real estate, we have to put like 3 or 4 or 5 things have to work right for a project to be successful. Over there is someone else doing that for you. You don't have to bother. Just make sure that, wastage is in check, and everything else takes care of the rest. And I don't need to tell too much about this. The audience is well aware of that. But I'm very optimistic about how the hospitality scene goes. And looking forward to more such things.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Rajarhat is coming up as a complete independent township. It's having schools, hospitals, offices, housing, everything is there. So it's coming as an independent cut-off township. I still remember maybe about 20 years back when, we used to sell residential apartments in Rajarhat. There were not roads also. There were those red mitti wala roads, and you used to go there, walk there, and show the sites to the prospective customers. There's a lot of development. We have come a long, long way. My second question to Sidharth, I missed that, was to you is, there has been, nationally, there's been a SEZ denotification which is going on. We also have that in Calcutta also. And how do you see that as a growth momentum for Calcutta also?
Which part of the SEZ denotification?
DLF, they have got that.
I think let's not talk about any particular transactions or anything linked with that. It's not the right forum for that.
Sure. Okay, I agree with you. So I move on to Tamal. So Tamal, two questions, I have for you is, the growth momentum shift from CBD part of Calcutta to PBD. There's something, you have worked a lot. So my question to you is, how do you see that happening?
Hi, good afternoon. I know it's after lunch and it's not easy to bear, but I think today we have the privilege to speak and you have to bear. But thank you so much, and it's a pleasure being here. You see, I think, as it's a very typical, it happens everywhere, and Calcutta is not a stranger to this. As the cities become, busier and the cities are absolutely short of space for development, it has to move to the periphery. But what is important for the periphery to succeed is infrastructure. Critically, infrastructure remains the most important thing for any periphery. If you see how Kolkata has developed, the first core periphery development happened around the bypass. As the bypass got built in the late 80s, you could see these new areas shaping up. And went all the way into, let's say, the southern bypass where, like Sidharth is a project which done exceedingly well. So then there needs to be one or two iconic projects which set the tone and character for that location. Similarly, we have seen Salt Lake and now Newtown, Rajarhat, and also on the Behala side. So everything was driven by infrastructure. Like the Behala Thakurpukur belt now has been driven primarily by the metro. Before that, the James Long, and that's roads. So connectivity is critical. But as you move on to the future, people require better quality connectivity. The aspiration of people have become higher. People want, it's not just connectivity, but quality connectivity. That is where things like MRT or a mass transit system is very critical. And as you know, Calcutta is evolving very fast. We had some metro lines being built for many, many years, much more than they should have been built for. But now they're actually finding the light of the, get to see the light of the day. And I'll give you a specific example, and I have spent a lot of time working in that micro market, which is the west bank of the Hoogly, which is the Howrah and Hoogly districts. I think on the 15th, and the metro to Howrah was inaugurated. And the entire, it seemed like a tectonic shift to an extent that the euphoria around that, what typically happens is when you get to a mass transit, and there is, let's say, I divide it into two parts, a 5-kilometer belt and a 20-kilometer belt. Anything up to 5 kilometers become accessible to everybody through a feeder, any kind of feeder transport. And that entire market gets connected to the whole of the city. So if you are, let's say, in 5 kilometers from Howrah Maidan station, and you can have various transport modes like, last mile transportation options. You are in Kolkata, and give you an example, and I told this to, one of the leading dailies who interviewed me when it opened, that earlier it would take about 45 minutes from Howrah Maidan to coming to the CBD, which is Dalhousie, Lansdowne area. Now it takes 8 minutes. In air-conditioned comfort, you are fresh for everything, and your quality of this travel has become more important than, the quantity. So I think this is very important. And then as you look into the other infrastructure, and then I could talk about a 20-kilometer radius where you will still have a peripheral kind of a reaction where people can take, let's say, a bus, or they can take their cars or whatever. So that will create the secondary. So it creates a primary market and a secondary market, which is really, really phenomenal. And this quality of infrastructure is now very important. And that's the reason if you go across Indian cities, and I'll give you one more number. I think he will love numbers. He's a numbers guy. So he'll love numbers. We did one survey I had the CREDAI National MSME and the Small Developers Committee. And for our New India Summit, we had done this research where we seen that the urbanization in India is going to touch almost 40%. In Bengal, it is going to touch 42%. When we did that for StateCon too, 42, 43%. So India is an urban country. It is no longer a myth. And to have an urban country, to live in an urban country, the urban centers will grow. And for that to go well, we need to create infrastructure and quality infrastructure, including, if you see the government also, they moved away from just highways to expressways, from normal roads to elevated roads to MRTs. So it's all a function of infrastructure. As infrastructure gets built, we will move to the periphery, and periphery is the future, because the city cannot take that load anymore. So that's how, I perceive it over the next few years. Anirban.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So my next question to Pradip ji is about, so this is again, we see developments coming, we see, condominium projects coming, we see, IT parks coming. Now, a burning issue, which is the maintenance part, we say, it's common area maintenance, CAM, it's something rising, and, it's becoming an additional cost also to the users as well as to the developers. So how do we address that, and how does the future look like for that?
You're talking about maintenance.
The maintenance part, sir.
Yeah. See, maintenance is a very, very important issue, and it's a very challenging issue also, because we see a lot of buildings and complexes where there are some defaulters, and because of these defaulters, there is a rift between the residents, and the building and the complex suffer, and the value comes down. I think one good solution which the developer should have the courage to take is to have a part of the building or complex rented out, and the rental should be used for maintenance. Like we have some buildings which are doing amazing jobs, where part of the building is given. We have that one building in Tollygunj, I'm forgetting the name, it has a Punjab National Bank on the ground floor. They have so much of rental income that they save every year. They have a lot of money saved, and they're taking their residents for trips to Bangkok and things like that. So that's one thing we must see that. And I had made a plan. I have presented it to many of my fellow builders. I had actually presented to my own company, but there are a lot of resistance, because they say that will increase the cost of the flat. What we can do is we can think of making a portion of the building rented out, and the portion invested in that rented property can also, 70% can be recovered from the bank as extra cost of the flat, and what you pay as EMI to the bank, actually, if you calculate after the tax break you get on that EMI, what is left? You see, you don't get any tax break on when you're paying a maintenance cost, because when you pay maintenance cost, it has to go from your income, and that is post-tax income. So if you earn 100 rupees, you get 70 rupees in your hand, and that 70 rupees goes to paying off the maintenance. Now, but if you built in your EMI, then what you are paying as EMI, you get tax break on that, and the rental income is taken care of the maintenance. If you do something like that, where the maintenance is automatic, and you don't, and there is a collection cost. If you go to there has to be a person who's going to each flat owners and collecting and then chasing and then all that. But if you have a rental income coming in, then all these things is avoided. And we must give this idea to the flat buyers that if the maintenance is ensured, you will not have any problem. Your building's life will be very long. Your building's reputation will be very good. If the maintenance is good, your resale value of the flat will be very high. I have some flats where maintenance is excellent. There's another building, you see that a well-maintained building gets about 15-20% premium when you sell the flat. And its life is very long. So we must think of ensuring that maintenance is done through an income which a portion of the building is generating by having rental income. So that, I think that's, and then we must also have some award given by CREDAI. Sidharth is here. Best maintained building in the city. That will inspire the people or residents of the building that there's a competition in maintenance, and we'll go and see which building is the best maintained building, and we give them recognition. That will inspire the rest of the building owners to make sure that the building is well maintained. So we can institute an award every year for best maintained building in the city. And if all the buildings in the city is maintained well, the skyline of the building is also very good. It looks very shabby if the building is not painted. You know, after 25 years of completing our journey in real estate, we had, just to celebrate our 25th anniversary, we had offered all the buildings which Prius has built that we will take 50% of the cost of the painting if you so decide to paint the building. At least 50 people came forward and said, okay, we'll paint the building. And when they painted the building, you know, it's a big advertisement for the builder, because if your building is very well painted and the next door building is not painted, I don't have to spend money to put an ad in the newspaper. My building is my ad. So we can actually do some such things to make sure that the buildings looks nice.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. My next question is, it's open question to all the panelists here, that the next thing we say is the best thing for real estate construction industry is robotics or artificial intelligence. How does it help to grow our industry, and how do we use it?
I would just like to go back on the maintenance issue. See, it's an issue that we all stakeholders need to address and, agree. I recently went to Vietnam, and what Pradip uncle is saying. So there is this very large complex, I think more than 3-4 million. So there the developer does not sell parking, and the law does not let him sell parking. So the income that is generated from the parking and some of the rental units on the ground and the first floor, they had a spa to everything. The developer uses that money to maintain the complex better. And obviously, if somebody who will maintain, today whether an IPC maintains or a developer maintains, the customer also has to be educated to let go of that extra 20-30 paisa, because of which maintenance is not happening. Currently, it's also a bit of a regulatory issue, because now RERA mandates that you have to compulsorily hand over an association within 3 months. So I think there needs to be some flexibility there. And also customers, when we are selling also, they need to get educated. Like 1 rupee extra maintenance a month is 12 rupees a year, and perhaps 120 rupees in 10 years. But if a building is maintained well, it will get 1,000 rupees of appreciation. So that is something the entire body here, whether it's IPCs, brokers, salespeople, lawyers, advocates, the whole ecosystem has to evolve better, and it can evolve better only if everybody participates. But yes, that is an issue, and that is an issue that we together can address, not one builder, not one IPC, everybody together as a society. It also needs government changes, which we are trying to do. Like recently, there was an order of the Karnataka High Court or the Bombay High Court, where for the first time they said, if a person is not paying maintenance, you can cut his electricity and water line. Till now, it was under the Essential Services Act, which you could not. So there was no penalty on somebody who was not paying. There was no statutory penalty. So I think things need to evolve, laws need to evolve. Together we need to make that noise. From CREDAI we are trying to do, Tamal is also assisting, we together to change the Apartment Ownership Act in Bengal in terms of maintenance, the rights and everything. I think once that happens, it can happen. Till that time, the only way we can deal is to educate everybody around it. And we've taken Pradip uncle's suggestion. This year we'll have an award on the best managed complex. That's done.
So the next question that I asked was about how robotics and artificial intelligence helps in our industry, and how do we see the future of that?
See, I think all these technologies are emerging, whether it's AI, whether it's deepfake, whether it's robotics. How much of it will be used, only time will tell. We all know that some of it is already being used in the digitization and the marketing side of it, whether it's chatbots, whether it's websites, whether it's telecalling and so on and so forth. Now when you go to a website, suddenly if a person, a Gujarati is seeing it, you'll see a Gujarati text to it. If somebody, a Bengali is reading it from Los Angeles, the whole website gets translated into Bengali. So a lot of those things are already happening at that level. Construction, from all the talks that I've even attended of Pascal, Finite and Singularity University, construction is one of the lesser impacted industry by robotics and technology to that extent. There is some work that has to be done by hand. It is an assembling work. So some will be done. Not so much on the robotic side, but there's a lot of work happening on the prefab side, where buildings are getting made in 45 days. There was a Tata project called Bisara or something where, the whole building of G+4 was handed over in it was constructed in 75 days. In 70 days, the entire thing came and got set. So I'm not sure how much robotics, but robotics could have a larger use in a allied industry like warehousing. Artificial intelligence might have so much, but on the construction side, I do not see so much of artificial intelligence or something, but more on the accounting side, the back-end side, definitely.
Maybe the margin of error will reduce.
There are a lot of works happening on drones now. Drones can go and tour the property, tell you where there is a defect, and a lot of those things are happening. Not so much on the construction side, but more on the review side, on the operation side, a lot of work will happen. And I'm sure it's just started. It will keep evolving every now and then.
Yeah, I'll just add to what Sidharth said. I think I'll tell you one major issue with the construction industries is labor now. The productivity labor and availability of labor. So obviously it is important that technology needs to step in there. And I'll slightly differ with my friend Sidharth here, because I've seen recently I was in Hyderabad leading a CREDAI delegation of small developers, and we went to a project which is building a 30 million square feet completely on precast. They've built an assembly factory doing 30,000 cubic meters a day. They're building this 30 million square feet project in 1 year. It's astounding. And I don't think that is the only example in India. So technology will be there to compress time, and technology is necessary because labor availability and productivity has become a big challenge. But there are also other areas. I'll give you an example in West Bengal on technology. That is, recently across the system we have something called OBPS, which is the online building plan system. And all our projects and all the developers know that for any urban local body needs to go there. It's a completely AI generated software. Every time you put in that application, the AI reverts back to you within a specific point in time saying that, okay, this is the error. So there is no human interface till the last level of where your plan gets approved. It's only when the plan gets to an OBPS approval system, then they'll generate a document and they'll say that, okay, we are okay. There is zero human intervention. And I've recently done that in one project in Haldia municipality. Over a period of 6 or 7 days, there were 300 interventions. All that was AI generated. 300. And then I got a final document saying that, okay, it is OBPS. Then I go back to the urban local body, do my documentation check, and then so first time I actually felt, Sidharth, but that we've been talking and involved in this process for such a long, from the CREDAI platform, that it worked. It took time, it took understanding, but it worked without human intervention. So I see technology there. Every facet of our lives is technology now, and I don't think construction industry is away. So there are bits and pieces happening here and there, but I think in terms of construction, technology is very much required to compress time, improve quality, as you said, margin of error in quality, and also I think pressing problem of labor and labor shortage can only be addressed by technology. So I think we are going there, and I think we're going there fast. Maybe, as Sidharth said, it's not evolved as much as another industry, let's say like retail or other industries, but I think in construction it's very much there to stay, and we going move. And there are a lot of realty startups working on various spaces, and I'm sure some of them will see the light of the day.
True. Yes, please.
See, I had been experimenting with using rejected and waste material in construction. I built 3 of my campuses. 60 or 70% of the material is all used. We have this system when we finish a project, a lot of material which is left is all discarded. It's taken by kabadiwalas or some such people is taken. And that adds to the bulk of the waste which we generate. In PS, we have started a central warehousing where all this material comes and we try to reuse it. But in my campus, I bought a lot of material, when a shop is discarded, like Lenstart wanted to change his interior design, or, when Levi's wanted to, close one of their shops, and so on. Normally, we buy a toughened glass for 360 rupees per square feet. And these glasses, once they are rejected, they are sold for 25 rupees. Otherwise, they are broken. I've used some 50,000 glass cover of a miniature fridge, which is rejected every year by, which is used for storing Cadbury's. I've used it for facade, I've used it for floor, I've used it for ceiling, and the look of the whole thing is very royal. You can actually, many of you, if you are interested, please come and see my apartment. It has a very royal look, and 70% of the material used is all recycled. I'm now doing 2 resorts, one in Murshidabad, one in Sundarban. Again, same philosophy. And I just want to prove a point that unlike what most of the architects and builders think, that it will delay the project or it will cost more to make a 100% green building, it's not so. It actually reduces time and it costs less. With AI, we are now experimenting. To do this, we have to do reverse engineering. Normally you design a project and then look for the material you require to finish that project. We first procure the material and then we design the building according to the material available. Yeah, so it's a reverse engineering. With AI, now we are trying to experiment that this is the material I have got, please design using this material. And the design is produced by the AI saying that, okay, all this material is used. So I give the glass size, I give the, all the material which I have got, furnitures and things like that. AI will give me 5 options how I can use this, and instant. So the AI is going to enable us to use material which is otherwise rejected. This is available at a lower cost, and you are moving towards a zero-waste society where you don't throw things which can be reused. Mr. Batra said that, we must think green, and this global warming is a real threat to our planet. So if all of us start at least using to some extent, using these upcycling and recycling of the waste which is otherwise is generated, I think we'll make this planet a better and safer place to live. And this is going to be possible very soon with AI-based designing, which will make sure that all this waste can be effectively used, at a lower cost and faster. This is what we are doing right now.
There has been a huge rise of demand for plotted housing, bungalows, row housing in Calcutta. So, Basantji, my question to you is, how do you see the future of this segment for Calcutta?
We have already seen huge growth in this area, whether in all the directions around Calcutta, even in some pockets of main city also. This sector has grown many folds in and around Delhi, the second tier cities, and so on and so forth. Calcutta, it was lacking. At one point of time, there were plotted developments. If we see the colonization of New Alipo or KIT plottings in Calcutta, they were plotted developments at that point of time. We are talking about in early 60s, 70s. They were plotted development. Entire New Alipur was a plotted development by Hindustan Cooperative, now known as LIC, the KIT in and around lake area and so on and so forth. But as we see that when the city land goes higher and higher and higher, the plotted development becomes expensive. that what we see in Delhi or now, current phase of Delhi development or in Mumbai and so on and so forth. But when you migrate from the to the suburbs, when the land prices are not very high, the affordability of creating bungalow housing or a plotted development becomes affordable. Now that is very important. As Tamalda was saying, the infrastructure. If the infrastructure in and around the city is good, the travel distance is reduced either by a motorized vehicle or through a public transport of MRT and so on and so forth. To reach to your destination becomes easier. The plotted development is going to, is the future. When we see Rajarhat, at that point of time when Vedic was made, to start with, give an example, लोगों ने वहाँ खरीदा, but going there was a pain. Now, Vedic is just around the corner. Now, he created in Howrah, the country roads. That was the plotted development. That has created, shown some of the project which has shown the path, what we are following today. Now you go to Southern Bypass. You have n numbers of projects of bungalow housing. You go to Joka, where the land costs were low. And let me tell you, इसका future बहुत भयंकर है in around Calcutta. क्योंकि जमीन जिस दाम पे हम लोगों को सिटी के आसपास मिल रही है, within 20 kilometers radius या within 15 kilometers radius of the CBD, जिस प्राइस पे हम लोगों को जमीन मिल रही है, उससे अच्छा इन्वेस्टमेंट कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. फ्लैट के दाम उतने नहीं बढ़ते हैं जितने जमीन के दाम बढ़ते हैं. और आपकी जमीन पे अगर आपका मकान बना हुआ है तो उसकी जो एसेट वैल्यू इंक्रीज होगी, वो फ्लैट आपको कभी नहीं दे सकता है. तो यहाँ दो तरीका है, एक खुद रहने का एज अ फर्स्ट होम एंड बिकॉज ऑफ अफोर्डेबिलिटी और अ लग्जरी ऑफ बीइंग ऑफ सेकंड होम. दोनों का मार्केट बहुत बड़ा है एंड वी हैव सीन इन लास्ट 5 years वी वुड हैव सीन एन नंबर ऑफ बंगलो हाउसिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स कमिंग. I mean from row houses to 2 kattha plot, even for 20 kathas. I mean in luxury in bungalow housing, in the row housing. The future is going to stay and we will see a next real boom in that sector.
Thank you. Thank you, Basant ji. So I think, it's showing time's up for us. So my request to all the esteemed panelists is to give a closing line remark, to the audience. All of you, sir.
See, I personally feel that, to the young builders and the young realtors, I would see that one thing we should incorporate in our development, which normally we are not doing, is some intellectual input. By adding value, normally we mean that, okay, use some expensive material or, all that. The intellectual input is, most of the time, is missing. What we should do is, for instance, there is a lot of development now is happening on the suburbs like Chandanagar or Chinsura or Srirampur or Bandel. Now these are towns which were inhabited by, let's say in Chandanagar was French, the Chinsura was Dutch, Srirampur was Danish, and Bandel was a Portuguese town. This heritage we must preserve. So when we are building houses in these areas, if we can really design those houses on the style of the Portuguese or the style of Dutch or French or Danish, it is actually an intellectual input. Similarly, when we are developing here houses in Calcutta, there are iconic figures, there are some celebrity from that area or that building, some celebrity lived. If we can really keep that memory of those people who sometime lived. You see, I'll tell you, I had been in many places. I lived in Germany for 10 years. When I went to these small hotels, and there are 2 rooms, identical rooms, but one room you pay almost 100% premium because there's some great writer or some great scholar had stayed for some time. And therefore, if you want to live in that room, you have to pay a premium price. that realization will come here. If you do these kind of intellectual inputs and try to keep the memory of the people who were iconic figure in those buildings or those areas, I think that will be, it doesn't really cost any money, but that will add value. I am building one building which is absolutely missing. There is a 30 million school children who needs to go for field trips every year because new education policy says experiential learning. But there's not a single property in hospitality which is designed for this market. And therefore I thought as an experiment I'll do it. And that whole building, I'm saying that it is a museum where you can stay. The whole folklore, the heritage, the stories of that whole area is depicted in those rooms where we have named the rooms after the iconic figure of that place. So when you live, you see the pictures of that person or the life of that family or the story of that place. For instance, Murshidabad was very famous for Jagat Seth. He was the banker of the world. So we have made a room which is called Jagat Seth Room. And the entire story of Jagat Seth is there. It doesn't really cost nothing because we made all the pictures out of AI. AI generated these pictures and fantastic pictures. In seconds you can make paintings which otherwise would have costed or taken so much of time. So these kind of intellectual input is required. It doesn't really cost any money, but we keep alive those folklores, those stories, those heritage through our buildings. And people can enjoy who are living there. The visitors will also get impressed when we see all these things, and they'll find that the builder has done a great job. I think that is the message I would like to give.
This is such a nice thought, sir. Very, very nice. So this is what, somewhere near what Chinese government is doing, So they have started this thing called Grand Chinese Narrative, which is something for the students. It's mandatory to understand the culture, the richness of the country, and love the people, who have contributed in the country. Thank you so much, sir. Basanji, your thoughts?
My thought is very simple in terms of real estate. It's बाकी तो प्रदीप भाई साहब ने सब कुछ कहा है. He has knowledge, he has wisdom, he has experimented, he has done, he has delivered. In real estate, what I feel is the most important factor is the trust factor, the transparency factor. This is the most important things. And I am very proud to say this. Calcutta excels on this in India. You all will agree. Calcutta excels. यहाँ पर अभी भी रिश्तों को तवज्जो दी जाती है, रिलेशनशिप को तवज्जो दी जाती है. यहाँ डिफ़ॉल्ट्स कम है. यहाँ पर जो बोलते हैं वो हम मोरलेस करते हैं. दाल में अगर नमक नहीं हो तो स्वाद नहीं आता है, वहाँ तक चलता है. वहाँ तक हम सब करते हैं, थोड़ा बहुत करते हैं, वहाँ तक ठीक है, बट नॉट बियॉन्ड दैट, विच इज़ वेरी 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 इम्पॉर्टेंट. मैं हरदम कहता हूँ, हम तन मन धन सब लगाते हैं जब प्रॉपर्टी बनाते हैं, फिर हमको लोग बेईमान क्यों कहते हैं? कहते हैं ना बिल्डर बेईमान होता है. वाई? वी ऑल स्टैंड टुगेदर एंड से नो, दिस नोशन इज नॉट राइट. मेरे को एक पैनल के डिस्कशन में कहा से 2 मिनट, एक पैनल डिस्कशन में कहा था रेरा आ गया है, रेरा बहुत आ गया, बहुत अच्छा होगा. उसके पहले क्या हम सब चोर थे? एक आदमी हाथ उठा के बताइए कि रेरा आने के बाद बहुत अच्छा हुआ है कि रेरा के पहले भी हम बहुत खराब नहीं थे. खाली कंट्रोल से हमको ऑनेस्ट रखेगा. परसेप्शन बायर के माइंड में हो सकता है कि अब बिल्डर बेईमानी कम करेगा, लेकिन उसको बोला किसने कि बिल्डर बेईमानी करता है? वो तन मन धन अपनी इज्जत भी लगाता है, वो अपने बाप दादा की इज्जत भी लगाता है वो. देन द थिंग इज, ये जो एक परसेप्शन है ना, ये बदलना चाहिए. बदल रहा है, मैं मानता हूँ. नए नए रूल्स आएंगे, कानून आएंगे, तो डिसिप्लिन भी आएगा. नो इश्यूज ऑन दैट. बट जनरली वी आर नॉट डिसऑनेस्ट. द बिल्डर्स आर नॉट डिसऑनेस्ट. एक्सेप्शन तो सब जगह है ना. एंड सेकेंड थिंग इज वी शुड इंटरेक्ट मोर. अगर हमारी कहीं गलतियां हैं तो आप भी आके हमें बताएं. We are on this side of the table doesn't mean that we are the king and we are the bosses. You people make us the bosses. The customer you bring make us the bosses. You people make us the king if we are, but we are as of you. We are like you. We are on this side of the chair. कभी हम उस साइड पे भी थे, लेकिन जब हम डील करें तो उस साइड होके करें और आप जब करें तो इस साइड होके करिए. Then the result would be absolutely stunning and outstanding.
Thank you, sir. Tamal.
Yeah. I think after this great insights by Pradip bhai and Basant bhai, both very senior, I am probably the crossroad of the age group in terms of the development and developer matrix. So I will go to a more mundane topics, which is, future trends. And I just said in my earlier disposition that I think quality real estate will follow quality infrastructure. I think infrastructure is the most key word for the future. And wherever you want, as urbanization would go up and more people would need housing or services, I think it is critical to see that the infrastructure is there. Because people, as I said, it's not about infrastructure anymore, it's about the quality of that infrastructure. People have a choice. And if you see, we are in a great time in our country where infrastructure is being driven with ferocious pace, be it railway, be it road, be it ports and housing. I think somebody who stays in Mumbai was just telling me that I've seen more infrastructure in 2 years than the last 20 years with the coastal road, with the highway.
That's everyone says.
Yeah, so it's I think it's not just about infrastructure, it's about quality. And I think the future will belong to those areas, those cities, those locations which will have infrastructure built into them.
Sure, agree. Thank you so much.
The session would not end without one thing, and which is the role which is played by CREDAI. CREDAI is an association of builders, right? Two of the big people sitting here, Tamal always, and now Sidharth. The initiative taken by, just 30 seconds,
Sure.
The initiative taken by them and the hard work and their own personal time given by them over recent years will yield absolutely stunning results you will see in future. The amount of efforts they have given to the bureaucracy and the political bosses is phenomenal. आप लोगों को सबको पता नहीं है, लेकिन आने वाले कुछ समय बाद आपको पता लगेगा कि जो रूल्स चेंज हो रहे हैं, जो नई बातें रिलैक्सेशन के लिए रियल स्टेट में आएंगी, जो हमारी 10 साल 15 साल के डिमांड थे, और नए एरिया उसके कारण डेवलपमेंट होगी, और रियल स्टेट में सब जगह बहुत मेजर चेंजेज आएंगे, चाहे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में हो या लैंड लॉज में हो या किसी में हो. इसलिए अ बिग राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज टू CREDAI Howrah and to CREDAI Kolkata.
Thank you, sir. Sidharth.
I think in the interest of time, but doing my CREDAI sales pitch also, that is what I'm here for. So 2-3 very quick points, Basant Bhaiya spoke about RERA. See what SEBI did to stock markets, RERA will do for real estate, it is already doing. It is not कि हम लोग पहले बेईमान थे या वो थे. But everybody comes at a same level playing field. Carpet area is something easier for the government, for the customer to measure, for the banks to understand. So that has restored customer confidence to a level because of what you're seeing is today. Earlier, you didn't know what was right and wrong. At least everybody knows the lens. And I think going forward, because of SEBI, the confidence that people have in the stock markets with regulation, that is what is going to happen here. It is not about we being right or wrong, but when a customer feels wrong, there is at least a adjudication mechanism which is quick. It doesn't go for a 5-year, 10-year. So I think that's going to really help. This industry is going through one of their best times. Pradip uncle and Basant bhai have been here for many years. And पहले अगर एक South Calcutta में एक building launch होता था, चाहे वो Elgin Road हो और Kamak Street हो और Baliganj. If one sold at 2,500, the other person faced a lot of difficulty in selling for 2,700. Customer made their mind 2,500 to 2,500. But today you have a project, say like an Atmosphere, which is sharing a boundary wall with Trump. The price difference is more than 40-50%. So the scope of a person to provide creativity, to do something different, to sell, to market, to invest more in the building and realize more, so it throws a gambit of opportunity and entrepreneurship for people to encash on. Lastly, Pradip uncle spoke about intellectual property. Basant spoke about, CREDAI. I think it's very important that all of us contribute back to the industry in whatever way we can. Whether it's addressing issues of maintenance, whether it's pitching to the government, society, for whatever issues, the more we give back to the industry, that much more the industry will give back to us. Thank you, friends.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Rishi.
Yeah, so I realize my words will be the only thing stopping the audience from breaking out from a rather 90-minute session. So I'll be kind.
No, I'll also speak after you.
So I will be brief. I would expect you to be briefer. But, my closing remarks are very simple. From one of the key principles that my dad incorporated in me when we were in this business is that we are going to face a lot of perception issues, and there will be people who will have no idea about the industry but would like to have a lot of gossip over their morning or evening teas and chai adda sessions. Don't take that too seriously about the perception part, but just make sure that none of that perception becomes true. So for a real estate developer today, the greatest product that he has is the service that he's providing to his customers. And this is not some novel idea. I have been, we all have been learning it from our seniors in the industry. And anybody who experiences a real estate developer who wants to be in the long run, who wants to stay there for the next, say, 30, 40, 50 years, or the next 40, or has plans to make the next 30, 40 projects, will not have the same perception that any consumer will have. Anyone who just looks at the square feet and the price and simply just wants to say that my 3 ways of selection is A, location, B, price, C, whether that budget or that ticket size fits me or not, you are in for a shock. So like anything else, like any other brand, you have to look at the brand story. You have to look at the narrative that the brand has built, the lineage and the heritage that the brand has built. We have been sitting in this August company, organized by Realty, and Realty itself, as Anurag sir had said, that it is 20 years now. So a media house obviously pays that much value to its brand. When real estate developers, today the real estate developers are paying that much attention to their service, to their online presence, to their brand, to the reputation, then the baggage of having someone regulating us, or the baggage of not having the greatest of perception value, all that becomes a problem of the past. It doesn't really remain a relevant problem.
Yes, agreed with you. I think the customers, the young generations, they have also matured a lot. They have got the exposure. They understand the product well. So we are, in due for some great market upswing. So I think, before I end the session, I'll take 2 minutes. I'll tell again, a small story on kindness, because we have been talking on kindness a lot. So this story is about Indian Army. It's about the military story, which I love reading. And this is about a particular leader. It's about leadership kindness, basically. His name is Ustad Nair. I heard this story in a podcast. I don't remember who has exactly said. But the story goes like this, that he is a trainer in tank weapon. So he has been training young officers on that, and they select the best officers to go in for the training. So he formed batches of 10, 12 officers, and he trains them, and there is an event where there's an examination, and they get a certificate, and they get their tank. So that's how the process is. Now, this particular trainer had got a batch of student where he had the best student, so there was a best student, a best officer who was practicing hard the most, hitting the targets most, and he was very, very passionate about that student. Now, when the day of the examination came, out of those 10, 12 people, 2 of them failed, and this student was one of them. So he was shocked, like, this Ustad, as they call the trainer, the leader, he was shocked to see that his favorite student, who trained him so well, who can actually hit the target so many times, has failed. Now, there, every trainer has got one, I'll not say bullet, one of those, one shot they have basically in their hand as a leader. So he gave his own shot free to this guy and said that, go, make a second try, and I think you'll be able to hit it and you'll win the certificate. So the guy was tensed. He was a little bit shocked on his own act. He went on, he made a second attempt and he failed. He came back and he was called on stage. And this leader, one of the biggest leader, of the army, they say, he called this guy and said that, don't worry, son, in life, we all miss targets once or twice. We all do mistakes once or twice. You are so lucky that you have done that mistake on the training ground. So when you are going on the warfield, I'm sure you're not going to miss the target. So that's what a leadership and kindness is all about. And here I'm ending the session. Thank you so much. And thanks to all the eminent panelists. Thank you.